Alright everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Nysarius. I'm glad to have you here. And before we get started, please do all the usual things like comment, subscribe, maybe go check out the Twitch or the Discord. Both are in the description below. But real quick, I want to talk about why I'm making this video, and feel free to skip to the actual stuff further in the video. Feel free. But basically, I've had plenty of people over my time playing Dauntless over on Twitch, coming in and asking me to show them my build, or asking for build advice, and just various sorts of things like that. And over time, I've noticed several common sort of trends or misconceptions over especially newer players asking me for build advice. And I kind of want to make a video sort of talking about those sort of things and give some advice that's at least currently up to date. Maybe not for long, who knows. But yeah, let's get right on into it. So first thing I want to talk about, as you just saw, is the philosophy of making a build in Dauntless, right? And you might be a little confused by what I mean by that, but basically I mean, how do you put a build together, right? How do you pick a build and put it together, literally, right? And I've noticed a lot of new players kind of have some misconceptions, or I guess some mistaken beliefs that honestly the game is default for, especially around these resistances. And I've seen a lot of players get really caught up on resistances and armor, and I think it really hinders a lot of people, like holds a lot of newer players back from making good builds. And I think the first thing that you should really know about making builds in Dauntless is none of this really matters. This matters, right? This is what matters. Your perk summary over here. And so the way you approach making a build in Dauntless is pretty simple. You pick what perks you want, and then you put together what you want over here, right? Pretty simple. But the game definitely does not incentivize you thinking that way. And I think a lot of players get too caught up in some of the misunderstandings that the game is kind of responsible for. And honestly, that's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to talk about here. I just see a lot of people get caught up on that, and it's a pretty simple mistake, and it's a pretty easy one to rectify as well. But now let's get into some actual build advice. Alright, so I've got a couple builds here kind of already ready that I kind of want to show you. So first of all, you gotta know that there are a couple skills in Dauntless that are very, very strong, much so than basically the rest of the skills in the game. And these are the kind of like 4 primary skills. So we've got Berserker, we've got Cunning, we've got Predator, we've got Pulse. These 4 skills are kind of your bread and butter, right? With a few exceptions. For example, Berserker doesn't work very good on Axe, so I replace it with Adrenaline. This build is not quite yet ready. And on Sword, Pulse gets eaten up by your sword weight, so Pulse is not worth running on Sword. But that's really the only exemptions to this, right? And that you generally want to be running Berserker, Cunning, Predator, and Pulse. And then you can sort of add whatever you want in from there. I like to have Assassin's Frenzy. It's really nice. Really lets you, makes it a lot easier to chain heart breaks, chain downs. And I would highly recommend having some sort of attack speed buff, Assassin's Frenzy being sort of the best in slot. So you are always going to have an insight cell. And personally, when I'm not playing Trials, I like running Conduit. And then this is like really up to personal preference, right? There are plenty of utility cells you could run here that are fine. Catalyst is going to be your obvious best in slot go-to. If you really want to like optimize your build as much as you can, Catalyst is very good. Energize, I love Energize on Sword. I always run Energize on Sword. Omni Surge can be fun. Molten Cell can be nice if you really hate fire, but mostly Catalyst is the only cell that's like a really important one here. And like I said, you're always going to have at least one Conduit cell or Catalyst. Insight cell, I'll get it right. Conduit and Catalyst might as well be the only insight cells as far as I am concerned, except for when I'm making less serious builds. So one thing I would advise you to not get super caught up in Dauntless is always playing super optimal builds. I've got this build, which is very fun. It's not optimal though, but it's really fun. It feels really fun to play. It's actually got quite a bit more survivability than you might expect. But there is one thing I really want to talk about with this. Don't be afraid to use Berserker. I know a lot of new players see this skill and they get spooked. And I get it. I do. minus 300 max health, especially if you don't have, you know, your Slayer tree maxed out. I don't even remember what the base HP is, but 300 health is a lot, right? I don't even know where it is. Is it here? Whatever the base HP is, it can be a lot, right? But the way you make fights easier in Dauntless is essentially chain staggering behemoths, and the more damage you have, the better for that case, right? So this is why you stack all these high risk, high reward damage perks. Is because that's simply the best way to take down a behemoth, and that's the best way to make the game easier for you. So it might be hard at first, but I would just advise you don't be afraid to try out Berserker. And if you really hate running Berserker, there are alternatives, right? Personally, Tenacious is, in my opinion, a pretty decent sell. Rage Hunter is pretty mediocre. Used to be something people ran all the time, but not so much. Rage is really good if you're running Revenant, because you can get both Predator and Rage up at the same time. Revenant, really strong, really fun. Probably my favorite Omni cell. Unfortunately, I am a repeater main, and repeaters very much need discipline. I've been messing with Artificer because, you know, it's new. Probably going to stop messing with it before long, though. But yeah, just don't be afraid to use Berserker. But if you really hate it, there are alternatives that are decent. And also, I know personally, I really hate using Catalyst. But honestly, it really isn't that hard to maintain your potion stock. And if you're struggling, Catalyst can really just destroy the game. Catalyst is extremely strong, so if you're struggling and you're looking, you know, for a build to make the game easier for you, try stacking Berserker, Catalyst, Cunning, Predator, Pulse, and just see what happens. I have a feeling that, you know, as long as you don't get immediately one-shot, you're probably going to steamroll whatever behemoth you're struggling with, and you'll never look back again. But I think that's about it for this video. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.